and welcome to Unbroken, the podcast with me, Madeleine Black, where I am speaking to inspirational people that I have met along my journey, people that have transformed their pain into something positive. And today's guest is not just an amazing story, but she's also a dear friend of mine who I met at a professional speaking association meeting in London, the PSA, and we just clicked it off straight away. You know, I just felt like I had known her all my life. Very different stories, but so much resonates in her story with mine. So Liz's life was devastated when at just 13 years old, she accidentally killed a friend in a school sports day event. She then lived with undiagnosed PTSD and punished herself for many years. Aged 30, she was in a physically and emotionally abusive relationship, taking drugs and partying every weekend, and her life was spiraling out of control. Until a breakthrough moment which changed the course of her life forever. Lis is now passionate about sharing her journey to mental well-being, including insights she has gained and practices she has learned that can give support and a roadmap to others who want to transform their own mental well-being and live happier and more fulfilled lives. So welcome, Lis. So lovely to have you on the show. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you, Madeleine, and thank you for your kind words. I feel exactly the same. I think we've just got this really great connection, and I'm really excited. Thank you for having me today.
Pleasure. So the first question, Lis, that I ask everyone who comes onto my show is, what does the word unbroken mean to you?
For me, it's that no matter what life throws at me, no matter what happens in my life, no matter what other people try and do to me, that actually I can remain unbroken. I can choose that. I didn't believe I had the right to be happy. You know, I felt like I'd taken a life, and so I didn't deserve to live a happy life myself. And I created these seeds of beliefs that I already had from growing up. This was, like, for me, the absolute proof that not only was there something wrong with me, but I must be evil, because these sort of things didn't happen to other children. And so there definitely was something wrong with me.
It just fit into all your insecurities that you already had.
It did. It was like, well, that's it. You know, there's no doubt about it now. And of course, this was all unconsciously happening, but got very deeply embedded within me. And I had expected to go to prison when it first happened. But of course that didn't happen. I hadn't been messing about. I'd just done exactly as I was told to do. But the 13-year-old me was like, you know, it left my hand and she died. So I thought I deserved to be punished. And so I then went on unconsciously, found many different ways to punish myself over many years. But I think because I still had my home life with my stepdad, which was very difficult, and he wouldn't allow us to talk about it at home. So I used to write letters to Sammy, which I was told years later was probably the healthiest thing I could have done, because I was able to express how I was feeling, because I didn't have anywhere else. I was told teachers at school were keeping an eye on me, but nobody was talking to me about it. So it was all very surreal. And
so yeah, it doesn't sound like you were supported in any way at all at school.
No, as I say, Mum said to me, oh, the headmistress had called and the teachers were keeping an eye on me to make sure I was okay, but nobody was talking to me about it. So everything was just magnifying inside, because it had nowhere else to go. It was like my life was heading for a crash, and then I actually had a car crash, and a black cab came out of a one-way street the wrong way, and I crashed into it. And although it was, you know, re-traumatizing and in many ways, it actually forced me to leave London to recover from my injuries and stay with family. And it gave me a pause button and a chance to take a breath. And I just started to think, what am I doing with my life? What is the purpose of all this? You know, why was I born? Just to create so much misery for myself and others? I was really asking those big questions, you know, if there's a God, why did this happen to Sammy? Why me? You know, all of those sort of questions. And I thought, you know what, if I go back to London, I'm going to keep heading down a one-way street the wrong way. And I would have killed myself one way or the other. I know that. So I decided to move out of London and got a sales job, which is the career that I was in at that time. And it was the most surprising breakthrough moment, because my manager sent me on a Dale Carnegie sales training course, of all things. And I had to read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And there was just a phrase in it that said, think and act positively and you'll become positive. And I was reading this book and I started feeling like these tingles, it was like, and I was like, wow. I mean, we've come so far now in personal development, but back then that was such a revelation that actually I couldn't choose what had happened to me. I hadn't chosen it, but actually now I had choice about the response I gave to it, the meaning I gave to it, how I viewed myself and others and the world. And so that was like the defining moment, really, that started me on a different path, the right path, which has led me here today. We get ashamed if we're not feeling good, that we don't want to share that with people. So it was about sort of turning towards all those rejected parts of me and really embracing them and realizing they were just the traumatized younger parts of me.
Oh, that just sounds like the real meaning of acceptance, like, this is who I am and it's okay. I'm absolutely fine with who I am. I don't even like to use the good or the bad bits, because it's not really the words that I would use, but it's just, this is who I am. And ironically, your book is called This Is Me, which I have read a few months ago, and you're about to relaunch it now, aren't you? You did have a different subtitle, but now it's called This Is Me, My Journey to Wellbeing. You're relaunching it very soon, aren't you?
Yes, I saw the Greatest Showman, as I'm sure so many people have, but that song, This Is Me, I just felt like, I was so inspired by it. And so, I wanted to write my story, warts and all. And as you know, Madeleine, it's quite a thing when you're sharing your vulnerability and the parts of you that you're most ashamed of, and then you're, putting that out into the world. So I wanted to share that to show acceptance for myself, but also to weave through all those learnings. And the updated version, which is coming out in a few weeks, will have mental health insights at the end of every chapter and mental well-being tips threaded throughout.
It's great because it's like a memoir, but it's also like a self-help book and a workbook. So it does so many things. But when you talk about naming the shameful things, it's really like putting light on those dark shadows that we had for years. It's exposing the shadows.
Yes, and realizing there is no shame. I think Brené Brown, who I love, she says shame exists in silence.
In fact, I wrote down, because you end your book with one of Brené's quotes, which I shall read to you. Owning our story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as running from it. Embracing our vulnerabilities is risky, but not nearly as dangerous as giving up on love and belonging and joy. The experiences that make us the most vulnerable, only when we are brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover the infinite power of our light.